Welcome back to the channel, boys. Fabloonsy's coming at your neck with this Glacial Inheritance Revenant build. Now this build is literally super spam. The way that Glacial Inheritance works with Revenant Hunter, you pretty much can always have your super if you have the right mods on and if you perform it correctly. So let's go ahead and break it down. So we are on the Revenant Hunter. We're using the Marksman's Dodge. We can reload whenever we dodge. Cold Snap Grenades, although these don't really matter, but I just like using Cold Snap Grenades. We got Winter Shroud, we got Grim Harvest, and we got our 3 fragments. We got Whisper of Torment, Whisper of Refraction, and Whisper of Durance. Now I think Whisper of Durance and Whisper of Refraction are the two main pieces of this, or the two most important fragments, because when I'm defeating slow targets, I get my class ability energy back. I have the dodge to make everyone's, dodging slows nearby targets. So whenever I dodge, I defeat those enemies, I get melee energy back, and I also get my class ability energy back, means I can do that even more. And then we also got Whisper of Durance. Now abilities that linger, their duration is increased. It also does work on the Revenant Hunter super. So your super will just last longer, get more kills, and just your slows from your abilities. So your dodging, your shurikens, your grenades, all that stuff just lasts longer. I love having Whisper of Durance, especially on Revenant Hunter. As for my loadout, we're using a extraordinary rendition. We got Overflow Thresh. I think Thresh is very important for this build, so I recommend any weapon with Thresh. I happen to have one with Overflow Thresh. It's a really good roll, actually, if you guys want to see it. We got Chambered Compensator, Flared Magwell, Overflow Thresh, and then we got a Range Masterwork. So this thing is a monster. I already racked up 1,000 kills on it, and I actually got it not too long ago. So yeah, definitely try and get yourself one of these. We're using Salvager's Salvo with the Demolitionist Vorpal Weapon roll, and then we got Auto-Loading Frenzy and the Cold Duello. As for my stats, we're using 100 mobility, meaning my dodge is on an 11-second cooldown, but again, we also have the Whisper Refraction, so it's going to be much faster as long as I'm defeating slow combatants. We got 40 resilience, 25 recovery. That's pretty low. Dang, I didn't realize that was that low. We got 42 discipline, 33 intellect. This does not matter. We're going to bypass this stat so much, it's ridiculous. And then we got 57 strength. So let's go ahead and start with our helmet. We got a minor mobility mod. Now we're using double dynamo mods. This is the first for me. I typically like to use my ammo finders. I mean, who doesn't? Ammo finders are very potent, but we're going to try and switch it up by trying to do something a little different. What dynamo does is it reduces your super cooldown when using your class ability near enemies. This does only go on void armor pieces, so fortunately it has to be void. But like I said, Whisper of Refractions is very important for this build, because if I'm defeating slowed combatants, I get class ability energy back. So whenever I dodge near enemies, I get super cooldown, plus whenever I'm near enemies and I dodge, they get slowed. I defeat those slowed combatants, I get class ability energy back, and it's a nice little cycle going on right here. Get super energy just for simply dodging, defeat those slowed enemies, get dodge ability energy, and then just keep doing that cycle. On my arms, we're using a minor mobility mod. We got submachine gun loader, and we got impact induction. Causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. I need to have my grenade ready at all times for this build, so this is one way I'm going to do that. And then we're using supercharge, and I can have a total of 4 stacks of charge with light. And onto my exotic piece of choice, we're using the 6 coyote. Like I said before, this is one of my favorite hunter exotics. It's very simple, just a double dodge charge, but I think that having that is very, very important for the hunter, especially with things like dynamo or bomber or whatever it is. You're going to want to have a double dodge. As for my mods, we're using a minor mobility mod. We got concussive dampener, we got melee damage resist, and then we're using energy converter. While charge with light, using your grenade attack grants you super energy, consuming all stacks of charge with light. The more stacks you have, the more energy you gain, up to a maximum of 50% of your super energy. So now we're also using Glacial Inheritance. I'll get to that once I finish explaining the rest of my build, but these two mods stack with each other. On my legs, we're using a mobility mod. We got double innervation mods, reduces grenade cooldown. Each time you pick up an orb of power, I'm using both masterwork weapons, so all those orbs of power, I pick those up, I get grenade energy. And then we got taking charge, become charge of light by picking up orbs of power. Again, I pick up those orbs, I become charge of light, I'm getting grenade energy back. It's a nice little cycle. And onto my hunter cloak right here, we're using Glacial Inheritance. This is the most important mod for this build. If you don't have this mod, it's on the seasonal artifact. This is the last column, or last column, so I highly recommend getting it. It is so very good. If you like using stasis, you're going to want to have this mod. Defeating targets with your stasis super, refund super energy. We're also using bomber, reduce grenade cooldown when using your class ability, and then we got charge up, allows for 1 additional stack of charge with light. Now let's go ahead and talk about Glacial Inheritance really quick. Now the way that this works is, you use your super, you defeat targets. At the end of your super, you get super energy. It works like that for Shadebinder, and it works like that for Behemoth. But for the Revenant Hunter, it works at the end of the super, and you know that when you throw your super with Revenant Hunter, it kind of lingers, it goes around, attracts enemies, and it kills them. So it's not like a roaming super where you're just locked into that state. So once you pop your super, it consumes your whole super bar. If you have 5 stacks of charge of light and energy converter, you use your super, throw your grenade, get that like 45% of your super energy, run around, collect some more orbs, kill some enemies, let your super do its thing, then boom, you get another chunk. So pretty much at the end of this, you're like at 85, probably even 90. There's been times where I've even gotten 100% of my super back with this mod, and then you can just pop it again. As long as you have 5 stacks of charge of light, you're gonna want to throw your grenade immediately and just keep that cycle going. Now the only thing is that you're gonna want to make sure that you have 5 stacks, so you kind of have to maintain it and balance your charges. You don't want to just pop your super, not have the charges, and then boom. I mean, you're still gonna get super energy in return, but you're not gonna get the full effect of 5 stacks of charge of light and glacial inheritance. So keep that in mind. But it is so potent, and the way I think that this mod was definitely made for Revenant Hunter. It has to be, because the way it works is just crazy. And as for my Hunter fashion, I feel like I kind of look like every other Hunter. I don't really care though. I think it looks sick. I love the arms pieces. It really matches well. I got like the white here, the white here. There's like my light side and then the dark side, because you know we use stasis and then we use our light subclasses. So we got the dark side, the light side, and we got the fur on the hood right here. I don't know. I really like it. If you guys like it, shaders will be in the description below. So one of the main reasons I steered away from Revenant Hunter is because I love roaming supers. I love going around killing a bunch of ads with my supers. It's just what I like. I don't like those one and done supers, which is what Revenant Hunter is. But using this build and using these mod setups, I pretty much can pop my super whenever I want, as much as possible. I get it. As soon as I have 5 stacks, I pop my super, let it do its thing, get my next orbs, get my 5 stacks, do it again, repeat that cycle. There's been times where I pop my super, get my super energy back, boom, I have another one. I can almost pretty much chain them together, so there's always the little ice storm tornado thing on the field. I want like almost 2 at once on the same field. It's crazy. Ever since I got the new Hunter Exotic Omni Oculus, I was using that build for a while, and then I switched to this build and I've been using this for a while. Man, I might have to start playing my Hunter a little bit more. I think that this season the Hunter and the Titan have some really nice build potential. Same thing with the Warlock, but I feel like I played Warlock a lot last season. I was pretty much on Shadebinder exclusively, so now I want to switch up a little bit, play a little bit more of my other classes, because I do enjoy all the classes in this game, but I just think Shadebinder is extremely powerful. But now with this build and Omni Oculus, and then I just got the new Titan Exotic, so there's going to be another build with that. These other classes, man, they're starting to tempt me a little bit. I'm gonna have to start making some more builds for my guys out there. But definitely try this build out, man. I'm gonna be sad once the Glacial Inheritance leaves, because it is a seasonal artifact mod. So once the season's over, boom, Glacial Inheritance will no longer be a thing, unfortunately. But this build will still be potent even without Glacial Inheritance. It just won't be as potent, because you're not gonna get a total of like 80% of your super back, 85. You might just get only the 45, and then Thresh and the Orbs of Light, or Orbs of Power rather. So it's still gonna be a really good build without Glacial Inheritance, but with this mod, it just makes it top tier. Now there is a couple of pros and cons with this build. I think some of the pros are it is very good for something like the battlegrounds, or maybe some specific strikes when there's a lot of enemies and a lot of chaos going on, because you're able to pick up orbs very fast. You're able to get a lot of kills, like able to dodge a lot in your enemies, which is going to allow you to spam your super, get those orbs, and just repeat that cycle. And something like a Master Nightfall, I wouldn't recommend this. I tried it in the Master Nightfall. Maybe at least last week's wasn't that good. There wasn't enough enemies for it, but I felt like I was worried too much about making sure I have my stacks and not dying, and I wasn't able to pop my super as much as I liked, although I did pop it more than normal. It's just not as much as I would have liked to. And now that I said that I had to manage my stacks to charge with light, I feel like that's another thing that I don't know if maybe it's for everybody. I felt like a lot of times I was making sure, and I was kind of stressing a little bit about having my charge with light, although I was trying to just, you know, make sure I take advantage of the full build. I guess you don't really have to always make sure you have the maximum stacks of charge with light, although that is the most optimal way to use it. So it was kind of like its own little game, running around trying to find the orbs or making sure I get enough kills to get the orbs. But if you don't like to stress about making sure you have the most stacks as possible, then just go ahead and pop your super when you have like 3 or 4. You're still going to get super energy regardless. You're just not going to get the most you possibly can. So it's completely fine. Just pop it as soon as you have some stacks, and you're going to see how much super energy you gain with the Thresh weapon, with the energy converter, with Glacial Inheritance. You're pretty much going to have your super all the time for any type of horde style activity. So definitely try this build out, get Glacial Inheritance, hop on your Revenant Hunter, create this build, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But if you guys like this content, please like, subscribe, and share. It truly helps me out a lot. You can also check out my other videos. Links are in the description below. I have a lot of crazy builds, so go ahead and check that out. And you might also follow my social media. I have a Twitter and an Instagram, both at fat_balloonskis. But with all that being said, deuces.